What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nar from the Nar Report. Back today with another episode. This is episode 19 of the Nar Report. And I just want to say thank y'all for all the love and support. Keep on supporting me. I'll keep on doing this every single day. I love talking about sports, and this is why I created the Nar Report. Well, first of all, Happy New Year's to everybody out there that's watching the Nar Report right now. Happy New Year's to all y'all family and friends. Hopefully, y'all have a blessed New Year. All right. Now, in today's episode, I will talk about a lot of things. The college football quarterfinals was wrapped up last night between Notre Dame and Georgia. I'll talk about that. NFL Week 17 recap all of the games. And I'll also talk about the playoff picture and each scenarios and what each team needs to do to make the playoffs. And then give y'all my Week 18 NFL predictions. All right, let's get into it. Starting off with the college football quarterfinals. The college football playoffs comes down to four more teams. You got Texas and Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame in the semifinals. The winner will move on to the national championship to play for the Navy. Let's get into the quarterfinals recap. Starting off with the banger, Texas and Arizona State. Texas wins 39-31 against Arizona State. What I love from this game was the Texas offense was very good. The defense was great. The running game was efficient. The Texas Longhorns came ready to play against Arizona State. They won in 2 overtimes, which it was probably the best game in college football for the playoffs so far. This was the best college football game in the playoffs so far. This game went into 2 overtimes. I thought Arizona State had it. I thought Arizona State was going to win it. But Texas, they came ready to play. They were the better team overall. And this is the team I have in the championship and potentially winning it all. And when I look at this team, Quinn Ewers is an elite quarterback, okay? He is an elite quarterback. Their running game is good. They got some good receivers, and they got a good defense. Now that the Georgia Bulldogs are out, this is the team to beat for the Navy. And I want to talk about the stats for Quinn Ewers. 20 for 30 for completion, threw for 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. What a game by Quinn Ewers as the Texas Longhorns get the win over Arizona State, 39-31. Moving on to the next game, we got Ohio State blowing out Oregon, 41-21 in a blowout. Man, Ohio State proved all of us wrong. I thought this team was one and done, but no, this team came ready to play. Blowing out Oregon. And Oregon was the number 1 team in the nation. And they get blown out by 20 points against Ohio State. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ohio State is trash or nothing like that, but to me, when I look at the college football playoffs and I seen Ohio State in there, I didn't see Ohio State as a very good football team. You know what I'm saying? So Ohio State proved everybody wrong. They proved a lot of people wrong in these playoffs. They go up against Texas and have a chance to play for the Navy. Ohio State, amazing game. Offense was good. The running game was efficient. The defense was good. Oregon had a horrible game. No offense, no defense was played. Oregon, I thought y'all was the number 1 team in the nation. Just because y'all the number 1 team in the nation, don't mean y'all can just go out there and play any type of way. It's like Oregon came out there and said, all right, we're the number 1. They overestimated Ohio State. I'm going to tell you what happened. Oregon overestimated Ohio State because losing by 20 points in the college football playoffs is absolutely embarrassing. And that's it. Ohio State wins 41-21. Moving on to the next game. Penn State defeats Boise 31-14 in another blowout win. Penn State, watch out for this team, okay? Penn State could be the second favorites. The one of those 4 teams left in the playoffs that can still win it all. You got Texas and Penn State. I feel like one of those 2 teams will end up in the Navy. As a matter of fact, I got Penn State and Texas. That is my national championship right there since Georgia is out. Because I had Georgia and Texas in the national championship, but now I got Penn State and Texas. That is going to be the national championship right there. Let's talk about it. Penn State's running game is so good. No, Boise State cannot stop the run. Okay, Penn State has an elite running game. Their passing game is incredible, and they got a very good defense. Let's look at the stats for Drew Aller. 13 for 25 for completion, threw for 171 yards, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. The rushing game was elite for the team. They had 41 carries, ran for 216 yards and 1 touchdown. The receiving game was elite. 13 receptions for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the defense played phenomenal. They had 80 total turnovers, and they had 3 sacks. Penn State defense was great against Boise State. They slowed down Ashton Jeanty, who was the favorite to win the Heisman. Penn State is an elite college football team. I love what I've seen from Penn State. And that's it. Penn State wins 31-14. Now moving on to the last game, which happened yesterday. Or was that? Yeah, that was yesterday. Notre Dame and Georgia. As y'all know, I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. This was sad to watch, okay? Notre Dame wins 23-10 in Georgia. In New Orleans. And before I go into the game, prayers up to the city of New Orleans of what happened on New Year's Day. That was so sad and tragic, okay? It was sad, and I couldn't believe they still had the game in New Orleans. But let's dive into the game in general. UGA, this was just sad to watch. From a UGA fan, this was sad to watch. Notre Dame came ready to play. The defense was great. The offense was good. And the special teams killed them. The special teams killed them a lot. Because them boys came ready to play. Notre Dame, from the passing game, Riley Leonard, 15 for 24 for completion, threw for 90 yards and 1 touchdown. Riley Leonard had a great game. The offense was good. The running game was good. And the defense played phenomenal too. Special teams, amazing. They had a kick return for a touchdown to begin the third quarter. I feel like that shifted all the momentum to Notre Dame. But what cost the momentum for Georgia was that penalty, which was I don't understand why was that a penalty, okay? He was just trying to celebrate, and then the ref was kind of in the way, or he got in the way, but however you want to call it, okay? But that should have never been a penalty. I feel like that killed the momentum for Georgia, and probably why they lost the game. And that's it. Notre Dame wins 23-10. Now moving on to the semifinals. The semifinals are officially set. Starting off with the first game, you got Penn State and Notre Dame. This is going to be a very good game. I feel like it's going to be a shootout. I am taking Penn State over Notre Dame because I didn't see Penn State as a very good football team, but Penn State got some ballers. They got a good offense, a good defense. The passing game is elite. The running game is good. I feel like Penn State is going to beat Notre Dame in a very, very high-scoring, shootout, competitive, close game. Moving on to Texas and Ohio State. Give me Texas over Ohio State because I had Texas as one of the favorites to win it all this year. It was Georgia and Texas, the teams that I have in the national championship. But since Georgia is out, I got the Texas Longhorns winning the Navy because I feel like Q Browers, the quarterback, is going to go off and bring this team, a Navy, to the state of Texas. So in the national championship, I got Texas and Penn State, and Texas will win it all. And that's it for college football. Now we move over to the NFL. Week 17 of the NFL season wrapped up last week with some huge games, huge playoff implications. All right. And now I'm here to talk about all of it. Starting off with the first game, Thursday Night Football. That game was awful. Seahawks win 6-3 against the Bears. No touchdowns in this game. This was a defensive game. This game was most likely boring, okay? And I don't really have nothing much to say. Seahawks got the win. All right, and the Bears. Do I keep saying this again? Like, it's the Hail Mary in Washington, okay? The Hail Mary in Washington, they just can't get over it. The Bears were 4-2, and now they're gonna finish the season 4-3. They were 4-2, and now they're gonna finish the season 4-13. What a sad season for the Chicago Bears, and I feel like they could have won the game too, but they just made a lot of mistakes, incomplete pass, missed opportunities. But that's it for us, Seattle and Chicago. Seattle wins 6-3. Moving on to the next games. We have some Christmas Day games, which I'm going to get into that right now. I meant to start off that first, but Starting off with the Christmas games, Chiefs win 29-10 in Pittsburgh. What a game by the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, he had a good game. The offense was good. The defense was great. And I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one and done. This team is one and done. Okay? By the way they've been playing for the past couple weeks, I don't see this team going nowhere in the playoffs. Okay? So the Steelers are one and done. Let's talk about the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes had a great game. 29 for 38 for completion. Threw for 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Travis Kelce, he had a good game. 8 receptions for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. The running game for the Chiefs was good. The defense was great. The Chiefs came ready to play. They officially lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they're most likely going to rest their starters by this Sunday when they play the Denver Broncos, who's looking to lock up a playoff spot with a win year in. But for the Steelers, they played awful. Russell Wilson did not have a good game. 23 for 37 for completion, threw for 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. What was that? Russell Wilson. I feel like at first you was balling when we was looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were looking like Super Bowl contenders. The Pittsburgh Steelers were looking like Super Bowl contenders, but now all of a sudden they're one and done in the playoffs. Okay, yes, I feel like here's the thing: the Steelers pretty much had the division locked up, but they went on that losing streak and gave that division to the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, the Steelers are one and done. They're almost like going to play the Ravens in the first round in the wild card, and they're going home. I'm just keeping it a buck. And that's it. Chiefs win 29-10. Moving on to the next Christmas Day game. We got the Baltimore Ravens blowing out the Houston Texans, 31-2 in Houston. Man, you had Beyonce coming into y'all town performing at halftime just for y'all to go out like this to score 2 points? And they only got a safety. But let's talk about it in general. Lamar Jackson, phenomenal game. Passing game. 10 for 15 for completion, threw for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Derrick Henry, he had a good game. 27 carries, ran for 147 yards and 1 touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 3 touchdowns in this game, 2 passing, 1 rushing. The Ravens offense dominated the Texans defense. Okay, let's just go ahead and get it out the way. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry carried the Baltimore Ravens offense. Okay, no, the Texans defense could not stop these two guys. Like they were just running all over the field. And when I look at this Baltimore Ravens team, if they can stay efficient by playoff time, I feel like they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Because this team is special. Who can stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? All right. And the Ravens defense has gotten a lot better, too, over these past few weeks. So watch out for the Baltimore Ravens by playoff time. And this is the team I have making out the AFC this year, which I believe they still can because you can never count out on Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and that defense, and Coach Harbaugh. And that's it. Ravens won 31-2. Moving on to the Saturday games, we got the Chargers blowing out the Patriots. Chargers win 40-7 in New England. Chargers are officially a playoff team with that win over the Patriots. Ain't nothing much to say about the game. They played the Patriots. They were tanking. Patriots tanking. Chargers got the win as they should, and they're headed to the playoffs. And that's it. Chargers win 40-7. Moving on to the next game. We had a thriller in Cincinnati with huge playoff implications on the line. Broncos win, they're in the playoffs. Bengals win, season still alive. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Denver Broncos 30-24 in overtime in Cincinnati. Let's talk about it. What a game this was. The way this game played out, both offenses were good. The defense were good for both teams. I love what I seen for Bo Nix and Joe Burrow. Both of them had a good game. And I expected the way this game played out, how the final score looked. Okay, the way this game looked, I expected it to be like that. Broncos, they played a great game. The offense was good. The defense was good. Bo Nix, he had a good game. 24 for 31 for completion. For 219 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Broncos offense was great. The defense was good. I love when I seen from the Denver Broncos, but they had a game-tying touchdown at the end. It was 4th-and-1. They need a touchdown to tie the game. Bo Nix throws it into the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. I was like, oh my God, how did he catch that? But that was a great play by Bo Nix. Now let's talk about the Bengals. The Bengals played a phenomenal game. Joe Burrow continues to play great. He had 39 for 49 for completion, threw for 412 yards and 3 touchdowns. The running game was elite. Chase Brown, he had a great game, 20 carries for 67 yards, no touchdowns. Jamar Chase, he had a good game, 9 receptions for 102 yards, 0 touchdowns. But T. Higgins, Bengals, y'all better resign this dude, okay? Because if y'all let this man go, it's going to be a problem. All right? But T. Higgins, the MVP for the Cincinnati Bengals. If it wasn't for T. Higgins, the Bengals would have won this game, okay? It's just that simple. If it wasn't for T. Higgins, the Bengals would have won that game, all right? He was the MVP. He was player of the game. 11 receptions for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown in overtime to seal the deal. What a game by T. Higgins and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are still alive for the playoffs. They need a win, a Broncos loss, and a Dolphins loss to the Jets, which they're going to need some help, though. But if the Bengals get into the playoffs, watch out. All right, the teams in the AFC better be on notice, because if the Bengals make the playoffs, it's going to be a problem. Because you know how Joe Burrow's going to play. He's going to play his butt off. The offense, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're going to go off. And I feel like the defense is going to play phenomenal as well, too. So if the Bengals get into the playoffs, watch out. The AFC should be put on notice. But for the Broncos, they could still lock up a playoff spot this weekend with a win against the Kansas City Chiefs, which they should, because the Chiefs are resting their starters. But that's it. Bengals win 30-24. Moving on to the next game, Rams win. We got the Rams and the Cardinals. Rams win 13-9 in Los Angeles, locking up the NFC West. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams for winning the division. Let's talk about it. Matthew Stafford. I mean, overall, this was a pretty good game. Defense-wise, this was a defensive game, but overall, it wasn't a lot of offense. It was just more on defense. And both of these teams played well. Matthew Stafford, he had a good game, 17 for 32 for completion, threw for 189 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Rams played a great game, though. Offense was good. The defense was great. Held in the Cardinals to 9 points, including at the end of the game. Cardinals driving the ball down the field. Seahawks fans are in shambles with this game, because if the Cardinals would have won, Week 18 would have set up win and you're in for both teams, right? For the Rams and the Seahawks. But Seahawks fans are in shambles. Kyler Murray, Cardinals down 13-9. They need a touchdown to potentially win the game and save the Seahawks season. Kyler Murray throws into the end zone, balls up in the air, it's tipped, and then it's interception, which clearly that was debatable, okay? Maybe it was an interception, maybe it wasn't an interception, but overall, that was debatable. And to me, the ball really did hit the ground, which it should have been an incomplete pass. But, hey, he maintained control of the ball, and I love what I've seen on that play by that Rams defense. And now with that win, the Los Angeles Rams are officially a playoff lock. They are going to the playoffs. They won the NFC West, and they are most likely going to be the 3 seed and host a playoff game. It's been a while since the Rams won a division. The last time they won a division was when they won the Super Bowl. But I slept on this Rams team because I didn't know this Rams team were going to be good. But the defense is still good, even though Aaron Donald retired. Just think about it, if Aaron Donald was still playing, how good this defense will be. Like, this defense will be insane. And that's it for the Rams and Cardinals. Rams win 13-9. Now moving on to the Sunday games. Starting off with the first game I watched, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win 41-7 in Philadelphia, clinching up the NFC East. Let's talk about it. First of all, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts did not play, but Kenny Pickett had a great game. Kenny Pickett had a great game. The other backup quarterback, I don't know his name, but I'm going to tell y'all in just a moment. But overall, when I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, great game overall. Offense was good. The defense was great. In the first quarter, they had a pick six to start the game off. Right away, Cooper Rush throws the interception. C.J. Gardner-Johnson runs it back for a touchdown. Now for the Dallas Cowboys, ain't nothing much to say because they're really playing for nothing. All right, the Cowboys are really not playing for nothing. They're just out there playing for fun. All right, and to score 7 points, I really kind of expected the score to be what it was because the Cowboys play the Eagles. Okay, and what were the Cowboys doing out there? They were just out there for fun, and it was pretty much a boring game. Okay. That game was pretty boring. I knew that the Eagles were going to come in here and dominate, okay? They win the NFC East, and they pretty much lock up the number 2 seed in the NFC. But when I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team overall, if Jalen Hurts comes back for the playoffs, I feel like they can beat the Detroit Lions. Yes, as of right now, Philadelphia is looking like the team to come out of the NFC because that Russian duo, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, now this is debatable by playoff time. Who will be the better Russian duo, Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley, or Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? But when I look at this, I'm gonna say Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is the better Russian duo because Lamar Jackson is the better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but Saquon is the better running back than Derrick Henry. But by playoff time, I think the Eagles will be way better than the Ravens by playoff time because the Eagles defense is phenomenal, okay? The Eagles defense is very great. It's phenomenal. The offense is good. They got a good wide receiver duo and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Saquon Barkley, he's not playing this weekend, but I hope he was playing this weekend so he can break the record. But otherwise, though, it is what it is. But let's look at the stats. Kenny Pickett, he had a good game, 10 for 15 for completion, threw for 143 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Tanner McKee, 3 for 4 for completion, threw for 54 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Saquon Barkley had a good game, 31 carries for 167 yards. Devontae Smith had a good game, 6 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 3 receptions for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. The defense for the Eagles, amazing, okay? And I didn't really have much to say about this game, but Eagles win 41-7. Moving on to the next game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers blowing out the Carolina Panthers 48-14 at home. Buccaneers played a great game. They improved to 9-7 of the season. Baker Mayfield went off. 5 touchdowns, 27 for 32 for completion, threw for 359 yards, and threw for 5 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield was on one. That was a much-needed game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they look up to lock up the NFC South this weekend against the New Orleans Saints, which I'm going to get into that by the end of the show. But overall, the Buccaneers team, I feel like if Chris Godwin was healthy right now, this offense will be amazing. It will be elite, okay? But by playoff time, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers end up getting the 3 seed, let's say they win the division and get the 3 seed, they either going to host Green Bay or Washington. And to me, Tampa Bay is a one-and-done team, okay? If they win the division, I don't see this team doing much in the playoffs, okay? But otherwise, though, the Buccaneers team, even though they're in first place in the division, but I hate it, bro. But anyways, though, Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. Mike Evans is an elite wide receiver. Let's go over the stats real quick. Bucky Irvin, he had a great game. 20 carries, ran for 113 yards. Mike Evans, good game. 8 receptions for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has a chance this weekend to break the record for 1K receiving yards for this season. Yes, for back-to-back season, he has a chance to do it against the New Orleans Saints. But overall, though, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played a great game, offense, defense-wise, Hey, when the duck flew onto the field, that was play of the game. That was play of the game right there. But man, I really hope Carolina won this game, so we can still have control in the division. But now Tampa Bay has control in the division, and all they can do is just beat the Saints next week. I mean, this Sunday they're in the playoffs. Man, but we'll get into that by the end of the show. But that's it. Bucks win 48-14. Moving on to the next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Giants. Giants win 45-33 at home, getting their first home win of the season. Congratulations to the New York Giants for getting their first home win of the season and messing up their draft pick. But ain't really nothing much to say about this game. I'm going to just talk about the Colts. All right? Colts. What was that? How you let the New York Giants score 45 points on you, and y'all needed this game to stay alive for the playoffs. Y'all needed this game. But nah, y'all went out here and played like absolute garbage. Joe Flacco, horrible game. 26 for 38 for completion, threw for 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But Colts, you let the defense was awful. Okay, the Colts defense was trash. How you let the New York Giants score 45 points? 45. And when I look at the score, I was like, hold on. The Giants are dominating the Colts. Who's seen this coming? Who's seen the New York Giants defeating the Indianapolis Colts? If y'all did, let me know in the comments, because who's seen this coming? Okay? And I'm pretty sure when everybody was doing their predictions, everybody had this wrong. Okay? Everybody had this pick wrong, because we all expected the Colts to win because the Giants are trash. All right? The Giants are trash, but they played a great game. The offense was great. The defense was good for the Giants. I ain't going to go over the stats, but Colts, how did you lose this game? But that's it. Giants win 45-33 at home, getting their first win of the season. Moving on to the next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders and the New Orleans Saints. Raiders win 25-10 against the Saints in New Orleans, improving the performance over the season. Raiders, you're officially out of the Shedeur Sanders sweepstakes. Okay? I ain't going to talk about this game. I ain't really going to see all the games that I'm not really going to talk about really didn't matter. Okay? So that's why I say I ain't have nothing much to talk about this game. But Raiders win 25-10. Raiders. I thought y'all wanted Shedeur Sanders. Okay? But oh my God, Raiders, you done blew it. You decided to win 2 games back-to-back and officially ruin your chances at the number 1 draft pick. I feel like if y'all would have lost those last 2 games, y'all would officially be locked into the number 1 pick. But nah, y'all wanted to win, and first of all, Raiders, y'all needed a quarterback, so hopefully y'all can still find a way to get Shedeur Sanders, but it don't look like y'all have a top 5 draft pick. But y'all might have top 10, okay? And then for the Saints, ain't nothing much to say about them, but hoping they can win on Sunday against the Buccaneers, all right? But that's it. I ain't really had nothing much to say about this game. Raiders win 25-10. Moving on to the next game, we got the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags win 20-13 in the AFC South showdown. Who watched this game? Okay? What was so important about this game? The Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Neither of these teams are going to the playoffs. Both of these teams are fighting for a top 5 draft pick. I ain't really going to say nothing. Jags win 20-13. Now that's it for the 1 o'clock games. Now we go over to the 4 o'clock games. Starting off with the first one, we got the Miami Dolphins defeating the Cleveland Browns. Dolphins winning to keep their playoff hopes alive, 20-3 in Cleveland. Tua Tagovailoa did not play in this game, but Tyler Huntley did. He had a great game, 22 for 26 for completion, threw for 225 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. The Dolphins are still alive for the playoffs, and for them to get into the playoffs this weekend, they need to win against the Jets, and the Broncos will need to lose to the Chiefs in order for Miami to get into the playoffs. And Tua is most likely doubtful for this weekend's game against the Jets. So Tyler Huntley will most likely be starting the game. But otherwise, though, Dolphins win 20-3. I ain't going to say much about the Browns. Now, moving on to the next game. We got the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. What a game this was. Okay, this was a very good game. Packers almost came back. I thought Green Bay was going to come back for a second. But I'm glad. But the Minnesota Vikings found a way to close the game out. They found a way to close the game out because the Vikings really much needed this game. Well, either way, if they win or lose, this weekend they're playing for the number 1 seed and they're playing for the division. But we'll get into that by the end of the show. But the Minnesota Vikings, though, are a good team. Sam Darnold is an elite quarterback. So Sam Darnold, he's a good quarterback, but he just been on the wrong team. All right. But overall, though, Sam Darnold, he had a good game. 33 for 43 for completion. Threw for 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Hey, this Minnesota Vikings is good, though. They got a good offense. The defense is amazing for the Vikings. And if they win the division, this Vikings team is going to be a problem, okay? I feel like whoever wins on Sunday is most likely going to be in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, all right? So, and I can see both of these teams being in Philly. But overall, though, watch out for the Vikings, okay? I feel like Sam Darnold's going to play his butt off in the playoffs. And that defense is going to go crazy. But overall, Green Bay, they had a great game, though. The offense was good. The defense was great. But the fell short. And that's it. Vikings win 27-25. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. I mean, Bills win 40-14, blowing out the Jets. Josh Allen, great game. Offense was great. The defense was good. Buffalo Bills are officially the number 2 seed in the AFC. And that's it for the 4 o'clock games. Now we go to Sunday Night Football. We got my Atlanta Falcons taking on the Washington Commanders. Game of the week right here. Commanders win 30-24 in Washington. This loss hurts, okay? This hurts a lot, man, okay? But let's talk about it. First of all, this was a great game. Battle of these 2 rookie quarterbacks, Michael Penix and Jaden Daniels. First of all, Jaden Daniels played his butt off, okay? Jaden Daniels played like an MVP, all right? Looking at his stats right now for passing. 24 for 36 for completion, threw for 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interceptions. For rushing, 16 carries, ran for 127 yards and 0 touchdowns. Washington's offense was great, okay? And congratulations to the Washington Commanders for locking up a playoff spot with a win last Sunday. And I like Washington. I have none but respect for the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is an amazing quarterback, okay? That's Lamar Jackson 2.0. All right? But one thing I like to point out, Scary Terry only had 1 catch. That's because he had A.J. Terrell guarding him. And A.J. Terrell did a phenomenal job guarding Terry McLaurin. He had that man on clamps. Now let's talk about the Falcons. Michael Penix Jr., he had a solid game. 19 for 35 for completion, threw for 223 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. He had an interception on the first opening drive. Not the first play of the game, but it was like an opening drive where pushing the ball down the field and Michael Penix Jr. throws an interception, which ends up Washington scoring a touchdown on the other end. But overall, though, Michael Penix Jr. had a great game. Bijan Robinson, a great game, continues to carry this Atlanta Falcons offense. Bijan Robinson, 17 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receivers, Drake London, he had a great game, coming up huge in the 4th quarter, 4th and 11. Penix to Drake London. He runs for about 20 yards. Drake London, 7 receptions, 106 yards and 0 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, I love you, man. I love you. For that, shout out to Kyle Pitts with that game-time touchdown. Kyle Pitts had a great game, 4 receptions for 44 yards and 1 touchdown. But let's go to the end of the game. Commanders go 3-and-out after we tie the game up at 24. Commanders go 3-and-out. Falcons get the ball. First and 10. Michael Penix Jr. throws the ball to around the 45-yard line to Darnell Mooney, which he should have went out of bounds. Okay, if he would have caught the ball, all he had to do was just quickly turn out of bounds. But instead, he thought he could beat the defender. He gets tackled inbounds with 34 seconds left, and 10, 15 seconds came off the clock. We hiked the ball with 18, 17 seconds left. Raheem Morris, why he did not call a timeout? Call a timeout. Okay? Call it. Why? Why? If you would, we had 2 timeouts left. If you would have called, imagine if you would have called that timeout with 34 seconds left when Mooney caught that ball. We would have got the ball down inside the 30 to 25-yard line, and Patterson would have hit it. But instead, 15 seconds come off the clock. We hiked the ball with like 12 seconds left. The penalty on Washington was a holding call on Darnell Mooney. The defender hold Darnell Mooney, which puts the ball close to the 30-yard line. Riley Patterson lines up for a 56-yard field goal. It was on the line, and it looked good. It looked good, but it was 5-10 yards short. Now, if it was 50, different. If it was 50, I feel like he would hit it. If it was under 50 yards, he definitely would have hit it. Okay? But it was short. It was like this close. We were this close to winning the game. Washington gets the ball in overtime. J.D. Daniels drops the field, throws it to Zach Ertz in the end zone. Commanders win the game. I said, if Washington gets the ball in overtime, it's probably a wrap. I'm telling you, once I heard Washington won the coin toss, I was like, oh my God. Defense, please. But J.D. Daniels was too much, okay? He was too much for that Falcons defense, okay? And J.D. Daniels, I got to give credit when credit's due. You played a phenomenal game. You played your butt off, okay? But the Atlanta Falcons are still alive for playoff contention. They need a win and a Bucs loss this Sunday. Hopefully, we get it done. All right? But on the other end, no, we didn't finish 7-10. All right? I'm just happy we didn't finish 7-10 again. But, man, that was a game that we really needed because if we would have won that game, we're 9-7, and all we have to do is beat the Panthers and we're in the playoffs. But that's it, though. Commanders win 30-24 in a very fantastic game. Battle of the rookie quarterbacks. This went down to the wire. Moving on to the last game on Monday Night Football, we had an NFC Championship rematch between the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody really expected this to be close like this. Now, yes, it is an NFC Championship rematch, but people really didn't have this close because the 49ers are dealing with a lot of injuries, same as the Lions. But overall, though, this was a great game. And the 49ers, the way they play, had a chance to upset these boys. But let's talk about it. Jared Goff, great game, 26 for 34 for completion, threw for 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. The Lions' running game was efficient. Jahmyr Gibbs, he had a great game, 18 carries, ran for 117 yards, 1 touchdown. Passing game was elite. For the team, they had 26 receptions for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns. The longest reception was for 41 yards. Jameson Williams, he had a great game. 5 receptions for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. Sam Laporta had a touchdown, 6 receptions for 64 yards, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. This Detroit Lions offense is elite. And if they win the NFC, if they win the division on Sunday, they're almost likely going to go to the Super Bowl. Okay? I feel like this Sunday, whoever wins this game will get the number 1 seed, win the division, and most likely go to the Super Bowl. All right? But Lions, though, I feel like even if they don't win the division, I feel like this team can make it to the Super Bowl because the Detroit Lions have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent. And the defense is playing well, even though Aiden Hutchinson is potentially out for the season. But that's it. And here's another thing, though. Everybody was talking about should the Lions rest their starters because this game didn't really matter to them. Matter like that because they were playing for the number 1 seed anyways, yada, yada, yada. Well, let's look at it overall. Coming into this game, the Detroit Lions were 13-2 and the Vikings were 14-2 and first place in the NFC North. This Sunday, they did not want to come into this game, not 13-3. They want to come into that game with first place in the division, and that gave them a lot of confidence of them beating the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday. So I feel like it was the right decision to play their starters. And that's it. Lions went 40-34. And that concludes all my Week 17 NFL recap. Now I'm here to talk about Week 18 of the NFL season, give y'all my predictions, talk about the playoff picture and stuff like that. Starting off with the first off, before I give y'all my predictions, I'm gonna talk about the playoff picture real quick. In the AFC, at the number 1 seed, that goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. They already locked up the spot. They're 15-1. They're most likely going to rest their starters on Sunday. Buffalo's locked into the 2 seed. The 3 seed will either come out between Pittsburgh or Baltimore. Houston is locked into that 4 seed. The 5th seed will either be Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or the Chargers. The 6th seed is either going to be the Steelers or the Chargers. And then the 7th seed will come out between the Broncos, Dolphins, and Bengals. In the NFC, the number 1 seed is up for grabs. You got the Vikings and Lions playing for the division and the 1 seed. Eagles locked into that 2 seed. The 3 seed can cut out between either the Rams or the Buccaneers. See, let's say if the Buccaneers win and the Rams lose, the Bucs are the 3 seed. And the 4 seed comes down between the Rams, the Buccaneers, or the Atlanta Falcons. The 5 seed will either be the Vikings or the Lions. And then the 6 seed could either be the Commanders or the Packers, so as the 7 seed. All right. But there's only one more spot left up for grabs in each conference. In the AFC, you got the 7 seed, and in the NFC, you got 2 spots. The number 1 seed in the NFC North and the NFC South. All right. And I'm here to talk about that right now. And here are all the scenarios for playoff clinching. Broncos, Chiefs, win and you're in. Broncos win, they're in the playoffs. As the 7th seed, and they'll go up against the Buffalo Bills. Broncos lose, either Miami or Cincinnati gets sent. Dolphins, they need a win against the Jets and the Broncos to lose against the Chiefs. Bengals, a win, a Dolphins loss, and a Broncos loss will put them into the playoffs. Now, the Bengals need a lot of help, but if the Bengals make the playoffs, it's going to be a problem. All right. And for the NFC, Vikings Lions, that's Sunday Night Football, potentially game of the year, fighting for the number 1 seed. Whoever wins the division and gets the 1 seed. Now, for the NFC South, here are all the scenarios. Buccaneers win against the Saints. They win the NFC South for the 4th straight year in a row. Falcons, we need a win and a Bucs loss to clinch the division and make the playoffs. But now I'm here to give y'all my Week 18 NFL predictions before I go today. Starting off with the Saturday games, we got the AFC North games. Browns, Ravens. Ravens win. They win the AFC North, which is pretty much going to happen. So the Ravens will beat the Browns. I got Baltimore winning. Bengals, Steelers. Bengals need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. See, here's the thing. People are talking about if the Ravens win the first game, the Steelers should just rest their starters. Well, I won't say that because let's say if you lose this game, you're potentially the 6th seed going to Baltimore, okay, for the playoffs. And if you win this game, you potentially clinch the 5 seed and go to Houston. So the Steelers choose how they want to do it or play it out, all right? Win and clinch the 5 seed to go to Houston, or lose and potentially go to Baltimore. But I'm rolling with the Bengals to beat the Steelers. The Bengals are red hot lately, and Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind, playing like the MVP, and I feel like the Bengals will get the job done. Next up, we got the Sunday games. We got my Atlanta Falcons taking on the Carolina Panthers. Falcons looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. They need a win and a Buccaneers loss to clinch the playoff berth. And I feel like we're playing against the Carolina Panthers, but we can't overlook this team, okay? We cannot overlook this team. Yeah, I understand they got blown out by the Buccaneers last Sunday, but we just can't overlook this team, okay? We cannot overlook this team. We still need to play our A game, all right? So I am taking my Atlanta Falcons to beat the Carolina Panthers. Next up, we got Washington and Dallas. This game don't really mean much to everybody. So, but if Washington wins, they're most likely the 6th seed. So I'm taking Washington over Dallas. Chicago, Green Bay. This is easy. The Packers own the Bears. Green Bay Jazz, Colts. This game doesn't really mean nothing. I'm taking the Colts. Bills, Patriots. Bills are most likely going to rest their stars because they're locked into the 2 seed. I'm taking the Patriots. Giants, Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles. Okay, the Giants suck. Saints, Buccaneers. Lord, please bless me with the Atlanta Falcons win and the New Orleans Saints win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the Atlanta Falcons to clinch the NFC South. Amen. Buccaneers win. They're in the playoffs, clinching their fourth straight NFC South title. Saints, meanwhile, are looking to play spoiler. All right. And I can't believe we relying on our division rival, the New Orleans Saints, to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, I'm so nervous about this game. I feel like Tampa Bay is going to dog walk the Saints. But you never know. It could be any given Sunday. You don't never know what type of Baker Mayfield you might get. But I just feel like I just want us to handle business against Carolina so we can have a winning season. But hopefully New Orleans can come through. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next up, we got the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Texans probably not playing anybody. So give me the Titans. 49ers Cardinals, I'm taking the Niners. 49ers. Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs most likely going to rest their starters. Broncos win. You're in the playoffs for the first time since 2015. That was the last time y'all won the Super Bowl. I'm taking the Broncos to win. Seahawks Rams. Rams are pretty much going to rest their starters, so I'm taking the Seahawks. Chargers Raiders. I'm taking the Chargers. Dolphins Jets. I'm picking the Dolphins. And then for Sunday Night Football, potentially game of the year, battle for the number 1 seed and the division. Give me the Detroit Lions over the Minnesota Vikings in a shootout. And that's it for my Week 18 NFL predictions. Thank you for everybody that joined the show today. I appreciate all the love and support. Keep on supporting the NAR Report, and I'll keep giving y'all my love and support. Make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms at _NAR_report on Instagram and TikTok, and sub to the YouTube to get all the notifications on when I post and when I go live. And that's it. That concludes today's episode of NAR Report. Have a good rest of your night. Happy New Year. Nard out.